All right, let's take a quick look at the Texas Longhorns post-spring depth chart, the coaching staff, and just an overall look at things. So Steve Sarkisian heads into year 5 as the head coach of the Texas Longhorns, overall record of 38-17. He's really built them back up into a national power. We all know Texas was just, they're back now. They fell off for a long time. Steve Sarkisian, one of the most creative and brilliant offensive minds in college football. Like I said, back-to-back Final Fours, back-to-back college football playoff semifinals. We'll start by looking at the offense, and something that's really consistent with the offensive staff. A lot of these guys have not only been with Sark for what is now going to be the 5th year he's been at Texas as the head coach, but they were with him previously at Alabama working under Nick Saban. So offensive coordinator and offensive line coach Kyle Flood, he was with Sark in 2019 and 2020 at Alabama, and it is his 5th overall year with the Longhorns, been there for Sark's entire tenure. Going to, quarterback coach A.J. Milwee. He was at Alabama in 19 and 20 as an offensive assistant. It's his 5th year at Texas. You go to the running back coach Chad Scott. It's his 1st year as the running back coach at Texas, but that was because Coach Choice left to go be a coach with the Detroit Lions. Wide receiver coach Chris Jackson, he's in his 3rd year. And then special teams and tight end coach Jeff Banks. He was at Alabama in 2018, 19, and 2020, and it's his 5th year with the Longhorns as well. So this offensive staff, they all know each other really well. They've all been around each other for a long time, except, again, for Chad Scott, who is in his 1st year in Austin, but really good chemistry. And with the amount of firepower, even though, and we're about to get into it, they lost a ton of talent on the offensive side of the ball, they have a lot of really good players that are stepping into starting roles this year. So obviously, starting off with quarterback, Arch Manning, 6'4", 225-pound redshirt sophomore. Quinn Ewers off to the NFL. Arch is a really interesting player because when you get a guy with that much talent, you never really see him except that he's going to sit for a year or 2, and then in year 3, he's going to be the starter. A lot of guys with the talent of Arch Manning are going to look for a place where they can just be the starter right away, and if they're not, then they're going to transfer out and go to a place where it's basically guaranteed that they're going to be the starting quarterback. Arch waited his time. He was patient. He's had 2 years to really understand the offense. He has had starts, like against Mississippi State, but it's his time now. I think he's going to be a great player. Bigger than Quinn, a lot higher ceiling than Quinn, top 5 pick potential. He can run. He's very athletic. I think that's a really fun thing we'll get to see this fall is how Sark is going to scheme the offense to factor Arch's legs into the mix. Then going over to running back, Jaden Blue, off to the NFL, but you get C.J. Baxter back from his right knee tearing his ACL and LCL before the season started last year. Hate to see that happen. Going into year 3, 6'1", 220 pounds, incredibly fast, very, very talented back. But then you look at the rest of the running back room, Quintravion Wisner, Jarrett Gibson. This is one of, if not the best running back room in the country. I know Penn State's up there with Singleton and Allen heading into year 4 each, but man, this room with Baxter, Wisner, and Gibson, tons of talent, tons of depth. Really excited to see this offense get rolling this year. Going to the receiving room, you lose a couple of guys, you lose Golden, but Ryan Wingo, heading into his sophomore year, I think he's going to turn into a top 10 receiver this season. I think he's going to be Arch Manning's go-to guy. You also have DeAndre Moore back and heading into his 3rd year of college football. And then the rest of this room, it's really fun to look at because you have so many young players. Lockett, French, Terry, so many young dudes that were recruited extremely highly out of high school. and just have a ton of talent. And we're going to see who kind of gets to share the field a little bit with Wingo and Moore this fall. But I think we'll see a solid rotation. Going over to the tight end room, Gunnar Helm gone, but you do have Spencer Shannon and Jordan Washington. Spencer Shannon, 6'7", a really, really tall tight end. Jordan Washington, around 260, 65 pounds, a big physical guy. So you got a really tall dude. You got someone who's really, physical and can block in Washington. I think you got a good duo there. The offensive line. So Texas lost 4 starters from the previous year. And what it's looking like right now, just based off of, people putting out depth chart predictions, things like that, is that Trevor Gooseby is going to get the start at left tackle. Left guard is going to be, God, I hope I pronounced this right, Nito Iamuzulu, who is a senior, a fourth-year player. Cole Hudson at center, another senior, another fourth-year guy. DJ Campbell at right guard, who is the only returning starter from a year ago on the offensive line, who is also a fourth-year player. And then at right tackle, it looks like Brandon Baker, who is a second-year player, is going to get the start. But, they lost both offensive tackles in Banks and Williams. They lost Jake Majors and Hayden Connor on the interior. So Texas has recruited extremely well. They've coached their players up really well. But replacing 4 out of 5 starting offensive linemen, you're going to expect some growing pains. But overall, look at the offense with all the guys they lost, the quarterback, running back in blue, Gunnar Helmet, tight end, receivers, offensive line. Really, really talented. I wouldn't expect them to fall off, and I think Arch Manning's got a much, much higher ceiling and allows this offense to do a lot more things with his mobility. So overall feel for the offense, going to be the top 5 unit in college football, just looking at things here. Going on over to the defense. The defensive staff, a little bit newer than the offensive staff. It's not a bunch of guys who have been with Sark for forever, but Pete Kwiatkowski heading into year 5 as the DC and outside linebackers coach. He's been there since the start, so that's good. You got the guy at the helm leading the charge for the defense, but defensive pass game coordinator Dwayne Akina, year 1 from 2014 to 2022. He was the Stanford defensive back coach, and then the same in 23 and 24 at Arizona. Kenny Baker, the defensive line coach, year 2 for him. In 2023, he was an assistant D-line coach for the Miami Dolphins. First-year coach at the edge position, Alan Clark. In 23 and 24, he was an grad assistant defensive line coach at Ohio State. Inside linebacker coach Johnny Nansen, year 2 for him. 22 and 23, also at Arizona, just like Dwayne Akina. And he was actually the defensive coordinator and inside linebacker coach during his time there. And then the nickel coach, Kinodo Hudson, and it's year 2 for him. 2023 at Ole Miss as the cornerbacks coach. Now they got him in Austin for a second year. Overall look at the defense. Defensive tackle, Cole Brevard, redshirt senior, 6'3", 330-pounder. Alex January, sophomore, 6'5", 315. Transfer from Ohio State, Hiro Kanu, redshirt junior, 6'5", 305 pounds. And then Travis Shaw, fourth-year player, 6'5", 330 pounds, transfer from North Carolina, was a very highly recruited player coming out of high school. So a lot of good talent there at the defensive tackle position, a lot of depth. Did lose a few guys to the draft, but they're restocked and ready to roll. The edge room, I am really excited to see this year. Ethan Burke, heading into his 4th year, 6'6", 260-pounder. Trey Moore decided to come back for a 5th year of college ball, 6'3", 245-pounder. And then the guy with the highest ceiling in this room, Colin Simmons, played a lot of snaps as a true freshman. Now going into year 2, 6'3", 245 pounds. He is just lightning fast off that edge, and he is always in the backfield. I think he's going to take a huge step this year and be one of the premier pass rushers in college football. Going to the linebacker room, you got your 2 starters. Anthony Hill Jr. going into his 3rd year, 6'3", 235-pounder. leader of the defense right there in the middle. Absolute stud. Probably going to be a first-round draft pick if he continues his level of play. And then next to him, Liana Lufau, which, again, I hope I pronounced that correctly. But another guy heading into his third year of college ball. 6'1", 225 pounds. A little more athletic. Hill's going to play the Sam. Lufau's going to play the Will. Really excited to watch these two. Safety, you got Michael Taff, who decided to come back, who, kind of talked about his decision where his plan was they win the national title, he declares for the draft, and goes and plays in the NFL. Obviously, they lose to Ohio State in that semifinal game at the Cotton Bowl. He decides to come back, a leader for that secondary, a leader for the defense, and a great leader for the team. Redshirt senior, 6 foot, 195 pounds, really smart player, able to dissect things as they're happening and make sure everyone's lined up in the right spot. Next to him, it's predicted that Jelani McDonald will get the starting safety spot. Next to Michael Taff, with Makuba going to the NFL. McDonald is a junior at 6'2", 205 pounds. At the star position, sort of that nickel, Jalen Gilbo, senior, 6 foot, 190, really solid player. He's going to make a lot of good plays this year. And then at the cornerback position, Malik Muhammad is back, junior, 6 foot, 190. And then it's projected that Kobe Black, who's going into his second year, is going to start alongside Malik Muhammad, sophomore, 6'2", 200 pounds. So the real big question for Texas is what young guys are really going to step up with everyone that just left the NFL? And is this offense going to be even more elevated from a year ago with Arch Manning's big arm, with his ability to run the football? Honestly, I probably still can't make a decision between if I think Texas is going to be my national title favorite or Oregon, but I really like those two programs. I know a lot of people are saying Penn State looks really, really good. I just have a problem with picking James Franklin to win a national title. I know Ohio State still has a lot of talent, but Texas and Oregon are my 1A and 1B, and I don't know which is which right now, but this could be a really, really good year for Texas.